Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening. You're watching Oman News. First, the headlines. The Council of Ministers commends the accomplishment of Omani Encyclopedia, considering it as knowledge project for the generations. The Council of Ministers studies the impacts of illegal land possessions on urban planning. The Council of Ministers tasked bodies concerned to look in a proposal of establishing of Competitiveness and Monopoly Prevention Center. And Sustainable Agricultural Development Strategy Seminar discusses economic significance of agriculture sector in Governorate of Al-Wusta. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. Within the continuous keenness and attention of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos towards pushing the wheel of building and progress in the country to cover all the economic, social, cultural and legislative fields, the Council of Ministers today issued a statement on the outcome of its meetings during March 2014 till today, related developments, approaches and following up the implementation of decisions of basic requirements of the society. The statement reads as follows. In light of the royal blessing of His Majesty the Sultan to prepare the Omani Encyclopedia as a knowledge project for the generations, the Council of Ministers commended the accomplishments of this national work, which documents the rich Omani experience as human and nature in various fields over the ages and preserves the historical identity of Oman with its different components. The Council expressed its appreciation for the effort exerted by the main committee for everyone who contributed in completing this project. In pursuit to attract further investments for promotion development areas in the Sultanate, especially industrial ones, and to provide job opportunities which go along with the population growth, the Council reviewed the system draft prepared for public establishments for industrial estates and designated the Economic Committee of the Council to follow up what related to the topic from all its sides and provide incentives and facilitation for investors. To keep up with economic transformations and open up to other markets, so to assist Omani economy to reach out for global economy, the Council completed studying the draft of Competitiveness Protection Law and Prohibition of Monopoly to be forwarded to the Council of Oman. It also designated competent authorities to review the proposal of establishing a center for competitiveness and prohibition of monopoly for all its sites to strengthen monitoring in this field. Within the following up of programs and projects of enhancing food security for citizens within various economic sectors, it tackled the implementation of the most important projects achieved in food security in 2013. Plan of Developing Fisheries Wealth Sector 2013 to 2020, as well as the report of activities of Research Council during the last year and Public Authority for Consumer Protection and its achievements. It dealt with the means of encouraging engineering consultancy offices in the Sultanate and protect them, where the Council reached the draft of law of organizing the work in offices to be forwarded to the Council of Oman. In order to meet the requirements of official statistics and documented information for use in policy development, the Council of Ministers approved the draft regulations on the National Center for Statistics and Information. The Council of Ministers was briefed on the progress of work in the preparation of the National Strategy for Urban Planning, supervised by the Supreme Council for Planning, whose goals include the sustainability of economic growth, diversification of income sources, and the protection of natural environment. The Council of Ministers studied the impact of illegal land holdings on the urban and development planning and on their users in accordance with the designated purposes. The Council of Ministers mandated the Capital Market Authority CMA to prepare for the establishment of a fund to assist to people injured in vehicle accidents and its work system if the vehicle causing the accident remains unknown. The Council of Ministers adopted decisions of the Steering Committee of Peaceful Nuclear Technology, including reviewing laws and regulations, the requirements of the infrastructure of the National Nuclear Emergency Plan, and the establishment of a national symposium to prepare for and respond to all radiation emergency, in addition to the allocation of graduate grants and scholarships regarding nuclear radiation safety, activation of air radiation monitoring network, and a network to monitor levels in soil and water. In enhancing cooperation with brotherly and friendly countries in the field of higher education and student exchanges to achieve mutual interests, the Council of Ministers approved the renewal of the program of the Omani Cultural and Scientific Cooperation until 2019. It also approved the Sultan's hosting of the meeting of the World Academy of Sciences, as well as the Arab Symposium on policies of dealing with the disability problems in the Arab states. In the context of strengthening cultural cooperation with the countries of the world, the Council of Ministers agreed to establish a mobile exhibition about the Omani culture in Brazil. The Council also approved the holding of an international conference in the Republic of Burundi about Islamic civilization and culture and the Omani role in the Great Lakes countries. Petroleum Development Oman PDO celebrated the first anniversary of the visit of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos at his premises in Min Al Fahal. During the celebrations, domestic added value, Omani's talents and achievements of small and medium enterprises were reviewed. His Excellency Dr. Mohammed bin Hamad Al-Rumhi, Minister of Oil and Gas, presided over the ceremony with the attendance of a number of Their Highnesses, Excellencies, and a number of the company employees. On the sideline of the ceremony, a memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of Manpower and PDO was signed, including providing training opportunities for Omanis in the governmental occupational training centers to join them in the oil and gas sector. Four new oil exploration agreements will be signed this year. That was announced to the Sultan of Oman Radio and Television by His Excellency Salim bin Nasser Al-Aufi, and the Secretary of the Ministry of Oil and Gas, who explained that Petroleum Development Oman will provide 30,000 job opportunities during the next few years on a number of stages. First of all, it will list the basic and necessary occupation from 260 occupations, 6 professions with high priority, such as electrical, welding, and scaffolding. The Shura Council is currently studying amendment to tender law and small and medium-sized enterprises law. That came in a statement to Sultan of Oman Radio and Television by His Excellency Slayem bin Ali Al-Hakmani, Chairman of the Economic Committee of the Shura Council, with the aim to find a legal legislation concerned with SMEs, stemming from the belief that the best continuation for support should be in a legal form and not as the prevailed one. With regard to the tender law amendment, the committee is reviewing it, and if it found that some activities needed to be changed, will take usual procedure for it. If found that the amendments were good and serve the country, then it will be passed. The Minister of Manpower plans to open new vocational training centers, one of them in the Governorate of Musandam. That was said to the Sultan of Oman Radio and Television by Her Excellency Dr. Muna bin Salim Al-Jardaniya, and the Secretary of the Ministry of Manpower for Technological Education and Vocational Training. She added that training centers are ever increasing in public, such as that which was opened recently in the governorate of Boremi, and there's a plan to open in the governorate of Musandam and also in other governorates in line with needs of labour market. With regard to training in private sector, the ministry encourages all companies and sectors to tie up with related training establishments capable to attract youth and to give them more training. A meeting was held today at the Al Bustan Palace Hotel, hosted by the Minister of Education and attended by senior officials, delegates of UNESCO member countries and the representatives of the Ministries of Education under the auspices of His Excellency Saud bin Salim Al Blushi, Under Secretary of Ministry of Education for Educational Planning and Human Resources Development. More details in the following report by Saif bin Khalfan Al-Kindi.
During the event, a speech was addressed by Mr. Kian Tang, Assistant Director General for Education in the UNESCO, who described the objectives of the 2014 Global EFA meeting as to review progress towards the 7 EFA goals based on the 2013 and 2014 EFA Global Monitoring Report and the regional reports prepared by UNESCO for 5 regions. Tang added that one of the aims is to identify the bottlenecks which hold back progress and hear from them about ways of acceleration and big push actions which have been developed in line with the 2012 GEM statement. Professor Pauline Rose, former director of GMR, presented her report showing essential principles that affected education. Rose pointed out that the progress is still slow in terms of the expectation of achievements. For instance, these statistics indicates that only 29% of the countries will be able to achieve the target of adult literacy. She also pointed out that poor rural girls in low-income countries only spend 3 years in primary schools. Dr. Hamad Al-Hammami, Director of UNESCO Regional Bureau for Education in the Arab States, presented his report on the Arab world education, showing the progress achieved and the challenges faced. He pointed out that the main challenges in achieving development are mostly related to adults' literacy in the Arab world. During the evening session, Dr. Badr Al-Kharousi, DG of Human Resources Development, Minister of Education, and Dr. Muhammad Al-Kumi, Director of Coordinating at His Excellency the Minister's Office, presented a paper showing the importance of skills and professions that teachers need to accomplish with the labor market needs.
As you know, that many educational systems experience that mismatching between the outcomes of the educational system and the actual needs of the labor market. And it's the school's responsibility to respond effectively to equip students with skills needed to succeed in the labor market.
Furthermore, it was also mentioned during the meeting that adult literacy increased from 55 to 77%, using literacy for life to succeed, and half Arab countries achieved the goal of gender education. While several issues have been discussed in today's meeting, one of them is bridging the gap between developed countries and developing countries in terms of improving and enhancing teachers' qualities, as well as several educational issues. One of them is financial support. Saif Al-Kindi for English News, Al Bustan Palace Hotel, Muscat.
Supporting the march of the occupational work in the justice sector and enhancing the abilities of the working cadres were discussed in the meeting between His Excellency Sheikh Abdul Malik bin Abdullah Al-Khalili, Minister of Justice, with the chairman and members of Board of Directors of Omani Lawyers Association. The meeting aimed to exchange opinions, suggestions and activating cooperation mechanisms between the ministry and the association and highlight the association's role during the coming period. Ways of enhancing the lawyer occupation and reviewing the future vision of the lawyers were also discussed. Still to come in our news bulletin, the Directorate General of Education in the Governorate of South Al-Batina honors the distinguished students in their studies. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. The third media exhibition was launched at Sultan Qaboos University under the auspices of Honorable Dr. Khalifa bin Saif Al Jabri, member of the State Council. A number of local media institutions participated in the event. It aimed to contribute in the development of Omani media through various programs, as well as to find contact among the media institutions. It also provides the opportunity for university students to get acquainted with media means and their work mechanisms, in addition to exchange expertise and knowledge. Activities of an exhibition for electric cities started in Sultan Qaboos University, organized by Electricity and Computer Engineers Group from the College of Engineering at the university. 7 government schools from Muscat also participated in the event. The exhibition showcased various students' inventions in electricity and energy fields, namely safe driving system device and aircraft control system. It provided an opportunity for students to exchange expertise and enhance their skills in this field. Stations on measuring rains in the Sultanate showed an increase in the quantity of water in dams and in underground reservoirs due to heavy rains in the first quarter of the current year. The quantity of water reserved in Wadi Dhiqa, a dam in the Wilayat of Quriyat, reached more than 30 million cubic meters, causing it to flow by 30 centimeters at the end of last April. Wadi Dhiqa, a dam, is considered one of the most prominent water projects carried out by the Sultanate, aiming to develop and sustain water resources. It was designed according to best engineering standards based on international characteristics, guaranteeing safety and security. Allocating land plots and establishing investment farms were the most important points in the discussions of the Sustainable Agricultural Development Strategy Seminar 2040 in the Governorate of Al-Wusta. It is currently being implemented by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries Wealth in cooperation with the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO. The seminar touched upon the economic importance of the agricultural sector and systems of production, as well as supporting and financing the value added to the sector. The Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry in the Governorate of Dhofar organized a seminar, My Project, My Innovation, under the auspices of His Excellency Sheikh Salim bin Aufait Al-Shanfari, Chairman of Dhofar Municipality. The seminar aimed to support the youth for their own projects, expanding the circle of knowledge investment at the development process, and contribute to the economy which is based on knowledge. The Directorate General of Education in the Governorate of South Al-Batina honored the distinguished students. The honoring ceremony reviewed the governorate experience in teaching German language within the Ministry of Education plan in opening opportunities for students to study some international languages in the schools of after basic education. The ceremony also reviewed the student abilities at various languages. And now for the general weather forecast. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with chances of low clouds over parts of the Hajar Mountains in the afternoon, with the possibility of local clouds and fog late at night and early morning on the southeastern coast. Winds over the coastal areas overlooking the Sea of Oman will be northeasterly light to moderate, changing to southwesterly light at night, while coastal areas overlooking southeastern coast will be southerly to southwesterly moderate, occasional active. The rest of the Sultanate will have northwesterly light to moderate, and seas along the southeastern coast will be moderate to rough with a maximum wave height of 3 meters, while it will be slight along the rest of the Sultanate's coast with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultan of Oman Television. Before we enter tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Council of Ministers commends the accomplishment of Oman Encyclopedia, considering as a knowledge project for the generations. The Council of Ministers studies the impacts of illegal land possessions on urban planning. The Council of Ministers tasked bodies concerned to look in a proposal of establishing a competitiveness and monopoly prevention center. And Sustainable Agricultural Development Strategy Seminar discusses economic significance of agriculture sector in Governorate of Al-Wasta. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here in the newsroom and the studios, thanks for your company. Good night.